Every villain is a hero in their own mind. Tom Hiddleston's statement reflects the subjective nature of morality and the psychological concept of self-justification. Villains, within their narrative, perceive their actions as justified, often believing they are rectifying a wrong, achieving a greater good, or fulfilling a personal ethos. This perspective underscores the idea that morality is not universal, it is shaped by individual beliefs, experiences, and motives. From this, we learn that empathy and understanding are crucial in conflict resolution. Recognizing that an adversary might be driven by motives that, to them, are entirely rational, can lead to more effective communication and potential reconciliation. The statement also warns against self-righteousness and encourages introspection. It's vital to examine one's actions critically, as others might view us as the villain in their story. In conclusion, this insight prompts us to question the dichotomy of good versus evil and to acknowledge the complexity behind human behavior and motivations. The greatest villains are the ones who believe they are doing the right thing. Michael Rosenbaum's remark encapsulates the notion that compelling villains are often those with a strong conviction in the righteousness of their cause. This belief system can make their actions, no matter how morally reprehensible, appear justified in their eyes. It speaks to the compelling nature of moral ambiguity in characters, where the line between heroism and villainy blurs, reflecting the real-world complexity of ethics and motivations. Such characters challenge audiences to understand the roots of malevolence, suggesting that evil may stem from a place of conviction or a response to perceived injustice. This idea encourages a nuanced view of antagonists, not as mere embodiments of evil, but as individuals with potentially relatable drives and desires gone awry. The lesson here is twofold: to recognize the danger of unchecked belief in one's moral infallibility, and to appreciate the depth and dimension this adds to storytelling, making for more intricate and believable narratives.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more valuable quotes from the legends.
A villain is simply a victim whose story hasn't been told. Chris Colfer's quote suggests that villainy is often a matter of perspective, hinging on the amount of context provided. It implies that if one understands the backstory, the grievances, traumas, and motivations of an antagonist, they might appear more as a victim of circumstances rather than a pure embodiment of evil. This perspective invites a more empathetic approach to understanding characters who are typically labeled as villains, positing that their actions may be a reaction to their experiences. The insight here is that everyone has a story, and within that narrative, their choices and actions might be rationalized. It challenges the reader to look beyond the surface and consider the formative events that shape individuals' behaviors and decisions. The broader lesson is about the importance of empathy and the acknowledgement that villainous behavior doesn't exist in a vacuum. It often has its origins in a person's history and experiences. Recognizing this complexity can lead to more profound understandings of human behavior and, by extension, more meaningful efforts at resolution and rehabilitation. Behind every villain lies a broken heart. Joanne Harris's quote suggests that the genesis of villainy is frequently rooted in emotional pain or trauma. The broken heart is a metaphor for the deep-seated hurt that can distort an individual's worldview, leading to actions perceived as villainous. This sentiment aligns with the idea that malevolence is often a byproduct of suffering and that the path to villainy may be paved with grief, disappointment, or betrayal. The underlying insight is that emotional wounds can have profound effects on a person's choices and can be as influential as rational motives. This perspective fosters understanding and compassion, recognizing the humanity in even the most maligned characters. A villain is someone hurt by the world, and so they take revenge on it. V. E. Schwab. V. E. Schwab's quote from Vicious encapsulates the cyclical nature of hurt and retaliation. A villain is often created when someone endures suffering and, in turn, seeks to inflict pain on the world as a form of retribution. It speaks to a human truth about the transformative power of trauma, how being wronged can warp an individual's perceptions and actions, potentially leading them to wrong others in a misguided attempt to balance the scales. This narrative serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of unresolved pain and the destructive potential of seeking vengeance rather than healing. It implies that the making of a villain could, perhaps, be interrupted or avoided entirely if the initial hurt they experienced was acknowledged and addressed. The lesson here is the importance of compassion and restorative justice. By understanding the roots of harmful behaviors, society can aim to break the cycle of hurt that creates villains, opting for empathy and support over mere punishment, which may ultimately prevent further harm. Behind every evil act is a need for love and acceptance. P.C. Cast. P.C. Cast's observation in Chosen posits that at the core of malevolent behavior is a fundamental human yearning for love and acceptance. This implies that when these basic emotional needs are unmet, individuals may resort to negative actions as a means of expressing their deprivation or as a distorted attempt to fulfill these needs. The quote highlights the intricate link between unaddressed emotional deficits and the potential for harmful actions. It suggests that acts of evil may be cries for help, rooted in a lack of nurturing and connection. Understanding this can shift the response to such behaviors from solely punitive to also therapeutic, focusing on healing the underlying emotional voids. By recognizing the connection between negative behavior and unmet emotional needs, we can approach societal issues with a greater emphasis on compassion and proactive support. This approach fosters preventative measures, aiming to fulfill emotional needs early on and thereby reduce the likelihood of harmful actions stemming from a desire for love and acceptance. A villain's strength lies in their ability to manipulate others. J.K. Rowling. In Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, J.K. Rowling identifies manipulation as a hallmark of villainy. A villain's power often emanates not from physical strength, but from their capacity to influence and control others, bending people's wills and perceptions to their own ends. This ability to manipulate is a form of psychological prowess, revealing that the battleground for control is as much in the minds of others as it is in the physical realm. It underscores the importance of critical thinking and self-awareness as defenses against such manipulation. The insight here is about the subtlety of true power and the significance of mental vigilance. It's a reminder that the most potent form of control is often invisible, exercised through the manipulation of thoughts and feelings rather than through overt coercion. Acknowledging this facet of villainy allows for a deeper understanding of how malevolent influence works and the importance of resilience against manipulation. It teaches the value of questioning and the importance of personal agency in countering the machinations of those who would do harm through manipulation. The scariest villains are the ones who have nothing left to lose. Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn's insight from Gone Girl conveys that villains with nothing to lose are terrifying because their actions are unpredictable and not limited by fear of consequences. This desperation can lead to extreme behavior, as they have no stakes in preserving their well-being or adhering to societal norms. It highlights the importance of hope and the potential danger in pushing someone to a point where they see no positive outcome possible. I prefer a real villain to a false hero. Killer Mike. Killer Mike's preference for a real villain over a false hero suggests a value for authenticity over deception. It implies a respect for those who are transparent about their intentions, even if malevolent, as opposed to those who feign virtue. This sentiment underscores the distrust in hypocrisy and the damage it can do when individuals with nefarious aims masquerade as benefactors. It prompts a critical examination of actions over appearances, encouraging skepticism of unearned or superficial heroism. One of the greatest things about playing a villain is people wondering when he's going to make his comeback. Michael McMillian. Michael McMillian's comment reflects the allure and narrative potential of villainous characters in storytelling. The anticipation of a villain's return creates suspense and emotional investment from the audience. It speaks to the enduring impact that a well-crafted antagonist can have, leaving viewers in a state of expectancy for the character's next move. This dynamic is a testament to the power of compelling character development, where even nefarious figures garner intrigue and a curious form of rooting interest. Beware the power of the dark side. Tom Engelberger. Tom Engelberger's warning highlights the seductive and corruptive nature of malevolent forces, often represented as the dark side in fiction. It serves as a metaphor for the temptation of taking the easier, more unethical path in pursuit of one's goals. The phrase cautions against the allure of such power, which can lead to moral decay and a loss of self. It's a timeless reminder of the vigilance required to maintain integrity in the face of potentially corrupting influences. Live as a villain, die as a hero. Banksy. Banksy's provocative statement flips the traditional narrative, suggesting a transformative journey from notoriety to redemption. It implies that one's final acts can redefine a lifetime of villainy, offering a path to heroism through a significant, possibly sacrificial, final gesture. This concept challenges the idea of fixed moral identities, proposing that legacy is defined not solely by one's past, but by the culmination of one's actions, especially at the end of the journey. It's a commentary on the complexity of human nature and the possibility of change, redemption, and the ultimate power of choice.